All right, good morning. It's 420. It's the EJMV Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. Where we starting, Yee?
Well, in Atlanta, the largest private colleges and universities have announced they will require students to get the COVID-19 vaccine if you want to be on campus for the fall semester. At Emory, which is the state's largest private university, with about 15,000 students, they said widespread vaccinations are crucial to a full return to campus. In addition, Clark Atlanta University, Morehouse College, Morehouse School of Medicine, and Spelman College, which have more than 8,000 students combined, have also said you have to get the COVID-19 vaccine.
Well, they can do that. They're private institutions.
Yeah.
They set the rules. Mm-hmm. Not mad at that.
You know, a lot of employers right now are also struggling over whether or not they should make you have to get the vaccine. So employers can require that, but they must provide reasonable accommodations for those who cannot be inoculated for sincerely held religious beliefs or for medical reasons.
Yeah, and I wonder what the rules are for that, right? Because what if your job did not make you have to get vaccines before? You know what I mean? If it was optional before, how can you make it mandatory now for this one?
I mean, I guess they can because colleges can do it as well. And you see, I don't know if you got it, but on the Clear app, when you go to the airport, they have this thing for vaccinations now that they'll start. Your vaccinations have to be through your Clear. So when you go through the airport, it'll automatically post on your app.
Oh, whether you're vaccinated in there?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right, now let's talk about the Derek Chauvin murder trial. You know, yesterday they did hear about 5 hours of closing arguments from prosecutors and the former police officer's defense attorney. And the jury actually got started. I think they deliberated between about 5 to 9 p.m. and they start again today. So we will see what happens now. People are talking about Maxine Waters' comments, and Republicans are saying that she is trying to incite some type of riot.
Oh, knock it off.
By the way, she didn't say anything about violence, but listen to what she did say.
I am very hopeful, and I hope that we're going to get a verdict that will say guilty, guilty, guilty. And if we don't, we cannot go away.
And not just manslaughter, right? I mean...
Oh, no, not manslaughter. No. This is guilty for murder.
Congresswoman, what happens if we do not get what you just told? What should the people do? What should protesters on the street do?
Well, we got to stay on the street, and we've got to get more active. We've got to get more confrontational. We've got to make sure that they know that we mean business.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, if Donald Trump would have said something like that, they would have been on his ass, too. So I understand.
Why? Because he said confrontational?
Yeah, because she said confrontational. But, I mean, truth to the matter is you got to look at somebody like Maxine Waters, right? She's 82 years old. So imagine what her triggers and her traumas are. She actually lived through the civil rights era. When you see a situation like this, when you realize things have not really changed at all, for her to say, yes, we got to be more confrontational, we got to stay in the street, that didn't sound like violence to me. That just sounded like keep the pressure on when it comes to protests.
And she's always been an advocate of nonviolence, too.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, I can't trust any of those people to know what a riot is because they didn't act like we had an attempted coup on January 6th. They don't know what actual violence is. They don't know what an actual riot is. They treated that like it was just a bunch of kids wilding at spring break in Florida. So knock it off.
Well, according to the defense attorney Nelson, he told the judge that Maxine Waters' statements can reasonably be interpreted to be threats against the sanctity of the jury process. And the judge responded that Maxine Waters may have given you something on appeal that may result in this whole trial being overturned.
I wish elected officials would stop talking about this case, especially in a manner that is disrespectful to the rule of law and to the judicial branch in our function. I think if they want to give their opinions, they should do so in a respectful and in a manner that is consistent with their oath to the Constitution. A congresswoman's opinion really doesn't matter a whole lot. Anyway, so motion for mistrial is denied.
Yeah, they're saying because of her influence, it could intimidate the jury. And that's something.
Aren't they sequestered, though? Shouldn't they be not paying attention to anything that's going on in the media?
They should be.
It's impossible. And they got to stop that lie. They're like, don't watch TV. But what about social media? What about having your smartphone? Unless you're taking these people and putting them in a bubble that's even tighter than quarantine during this trial, it's impossible, man. These people saw the video before they even, became jurors. Like, come on, stop.
All right, now, yesterday was day 15 of the Derek Chauvin murder trial. As you know, jury deliberations started yesterday, and they will continue today. Some of the things that you heard yesterday was defense attorney Eric Nelson saying that Derek Chauvin is not guilty beyond reasonable doubt.
Officers are human beings. capable of making mistakes in highly stressful situations. In this case, the totality of the circumstances that were known to a reasonable police officer in the precise moment the force was used demonstrates that this was an authorized use of force, as unattractive as it may be. And this is reasonable doubt.
Oh, Lord, that's what's nuts about this situation. Derek Chauvin killed George Floyd in cold blood, on purpose, on camera, and they telling us that we didn't see what we think we saw. What we saw isn't what we really witnessed. It's actually impressive. It really
All right,
is.
Prosecutor Steve Slisher also says, you better believe what you saw.
Die of a drug overdose. It's not common sense. That's nonsense. Believe your eyes. What you saw happened, happened. If you committed a certain level of assault, a felony level assault, and a person dies, you're guilty of murder. It's as simple as that. This was not policing. It was unnecessary, and he did it on purpose. This was not an accident. That force for 9 minutes and 29 seconds, that killed George Floyd.
Yeah, it's like we in two worlds. Social media people can convict folks off just allegations, things they heard, but in court for something we actually saw, they can create doubt. It is very impressive. And the fact that he was already on the ground in handcuffs and you kept your knee on his neck for over 9 minutes. Once you have him on the ground in handcuffs, at nowhere during that 9 minutes did you think, okay, he's subdued now? Come on.
That was pride in
Stop
Nino.
it.
He deserves to go
All
to
right.
jail for life.
And the prosecutor, Steve Slisher, also wants to make it clear what this case is. It is Minnesota versus Chauvin, not versus the police, not versus George Floyd. Listen.
This case is called the State of Minnesota versus Derek Chauvin. This case is not called the State of Minnesota versus the police. This is not a prosecution of the police. It is a prosecution of the defendant. And there's nothing worse for good police than a bad police. Also need to be clear, this is not the trial of George Floyd. He didn't get a trial when he was alive.
That's very true. I know one thing, Minnesota, you better do the right thing. Okay, destiny's not a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. Make the wrong choice in this situation, it's going to be a lot of bloodshed. And either way, it's going to be bloodshed. If Derek Chauvin gets off, yes, it's going to be violence. If Derek Chauvin gets convicted, yes, it's going to be violence from the other side. We've been watching how they get down. You know, during the whole Trump administration, we saw how they get down on January 6th. So either way, it's going to be violence. So choose wisely.
All right. We will be watching, and that is your front page news.